Wait, isn't everybody at war over atheism?
Atheism? No, we've learned to get rid of all the isms in our time. Yes, long ago we realized isms are great for those who are rational, but in the hands of irrational people, isms always lead to violence.
Hello, everybody. This is the 29th episode of the You, Me, and BTC podcast. There you go. No, I'm already fucking this up now. This is actually the Tim's 2 Cents show. It's the YMB network. A couple people gave me some... Actually, just one person gave me some different ideas for what the name should be. It's going like Tim's 2 Satoshis. It doesn't really flow as well. Tim's 2 millibits was my idea. Mostly... Fuck, I don't really know what to do with these things. I'm very bad with intros, as you can see already. If you are listening to this, like I said, you've probably come to this from the You, Me, and BTC network, where we have now 3 different shows for you. We have our kind of flagship live show we do every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. I do that with Daniel Brown and Zach Vole. Zach has his own podcast called The Coin Pod that gets put out on Tuesdays, where if you're looking for more of an interview show, something you actually might learn some applicable information for, especially if you're into crypto stuff, check him out. He always has good interviews on there. The last one he did was with the Dandelion Protocol, which is the BIP 156, which is Bitcoin Improvement Protocol. I just learned that last week. But that episode's with Julia Fonte, whatever it is. Check him out. Check her out. It's a good interview. Zach does a very good job coming up with questions, and he always has good, interesting guests on. And then our newest podcast network is the Unpopular Opinions podcast with Ryan and Brian. That's a video podcast. You can get that on YouTube. It's not at all to do with crypto. They're kind of with me where I'm trying to do something besides that. We're trying to branch out to just general entertainment show, general talking, general whatever's been happening in life. And I don't know, check them out. Tell them you like them. Even if you don't, it'll help them. It'll make them feel good about themselves. I guess that's all that life is supposed to be, just making other people feel good about themselves. At least that's what it seems like. Maybe I'll talk about that a little bit later. But no, follow them. Follow me on Twitter at BakersDozen93. Follow Zach at Zach Vole with a CH, and follow Daniel at You, Me, and BTC. He runs that Twitter handle. So it's a new week. I'm recording this on September 10th. We're exactly 20 days away from seeing Daniel throw his life away. No, I'm very happy for both of them. But it's going to be interesting in a couple weeks. I'm certain new stuff to talk about in that. I'll finally get to meet Zach in person at this wedding, so we'll get drunk together, and I don't know, maybe we'll set up a Periscope thing for the You, Me, and BTC get together out there, because then also Ryan will be out there too, so we'll have all the podcast guys together. I'm not sure if Brian is invited. I'm not really sure on the relationship between Brian and Daniel. Hopefully he's there. We'll get everybody together. But like I said, it's a new week. I'm recording this a little bit earlier than I normally do because around where I live, I work outside pretty much exclusively, and for the past 3 days it has done nothing but rain. We were well on our way to getting close to the biblical flood happening again, but it looks like right now it's pretty much stopped. It's starting to warm up a little bit again. The weather also dropped from 90 degrees to just dropped drastically to like 62 over like 24 hours, so that was kind of cool. It was cool not to just be constantly sweating where I live. Thankfully, I do have air conditioning now. I will always appreciate that because I grew up, my family's house didn't have air conditioning, and whenever you tried to sleep when it was still 80 degrees outside, you kind of just had to lay there and wish for death. But like I said, I say like I said too much, and I guess part of this podcast is try to get me to stop just running back over phrases, because amongst other things, I definitely have patterns where I use different words or phrases to just repeat things, and I get stuck in those, and I want to repeat those over and over again, and I'm like, my whole thing right now recently has been trying to break patterns or form new, better patterns. I'm not sure how well that's going yet. It hasn't really... I'm going to tell myself it hasn't been long enough to tell, but there's good possibility it's just not going to help me with what I want. But, I don't know. You guys can tell me. You guys can let me know if you like this or not. Or you cannot. I'll probably keep still doing it because fuck Daniel, and he thinks I'm going to give up, so I have to prove something against him. Because that would be advice right now, is try to find somebody to tell off with what you do. If you want to produce things, if you want to create things, you kind of, beyond just the, I just like to create things, I just like to express myself, you also need to find somebody to express yourself against. Everybody kind of needs something to hate. So don't find like a novel thing to hate. Find something different to hate. If you just hate everything that they tell you to online or on the TV, you're kind of going to get lost. You'll spend most of your time just commenting on Trump statuses or commenting on Hillary statuses or telling people they're libtards or telling them that they're dumb conservatives that hate everybody. Find something different to hate. Find something different to kind of rail against. And even if it seems kind of silly, it'll help you keep going, I think. It'll keep you on the straight and narrow or whatever it is that you want to do. It'll help you stay focused on achieving something if you have something to prove yourself against, even if that's just yourself. But new week, new me, new you, I guess. You can be. Every single day, every single hour, every single minute, you could choose to do something different. I'm starting to find that most people don't do that. Most people, including myself, most people, it is much easier to kind of just go along with the momentum you've created. I had some weird experiences over the weekend. Not really interesting, I wouldn't say, just strange, a little bit disconcerting when you're looking at people. I don't know. I went, Friday night? Friday, I had a pretty short day for work. We still went out there and did something because the rain hadn't started pounding us yet, but the rest of Friday was spent trying to slog through doing some writing and basically failing at that and feeling shitty about myself. And then Friday night, I went and played pool someplace. If you're going to go do that, I'd advise going to like a pool hall. You can go to a bar, but then, especially for me, since I'm not that good at it, you're going to just lose the table immediately, especially if you start going, yeah, I'll play you for next game, then you're going to play one game, and then you don't really have anything else besides to do but to just get drunk at that point. But if you want to go actually play pool, if you want to do something, I'd say just go to a pool hall. Around where I am, they're not that expensive. It's like $10 for an hour, and you can play however many games you can play in that hour. Sometimes that's 1 for me, sometimes that's 5. Just depends on how shitty I'm playing. Saturday, the rain came and I pretty much just stayed inside. I actually feel like I got a decent amount of stuff done inside. I did a little bit more cleaning. That's been seeming to help a lot as far as my mental state and how I just feel about things around me. If I clean more, if things are more organized. Now, I'm saying this as I look around at my desk, around my laptop, and it's just cluttered with things. I have coffee cups, other cups, computer cleaner duster, blender bottle, like a shaker bottle, notebooks, garbage. I have a garbage bag on this table. It shows you where I'm at right now. I also have my gun next to me because I'm here by myself, and I don't know. It's more interesting. It reminds me of where it is. I feel like if I'm going to have the gun in the house, it's probably better to have it in sight if I can. I don't know if that probably makes it a little bit more of a paranoid thing, but I don't know. On the off chance that somebody does try to come into my house, which I have been, like, more people. I live right down the street from a bar, So I don't think it's open yet right now, but I do have that little bit of a that little bit of a fear always that someone's going to try to just break in on the idea that it's their house and they just like passed it or they haven't gone far enough. I have been followed home from the bar by a guy who initially started out seeming like he was trying to talk and be friendly, and it kind of just ended in him. It wasn't really even, it was a strange insult because it was, I was walking with my buddy who is like Arabic, but not fully Arabic. He called him a monkey and then started telling us to go run back home to mommy's vagina, which I'm not sure what kind of a mental state you have to be in to assume that that's what you're supposed to do. We pretty much just walked faster. The guy was staggering drunk, and then we got back to the house. We hadn't been carrying guns because we went to a bar. We then went back outside. The guy was gone, and that was it. I think I've seen him later, but I think the guy is just a lush. I think he kind of just hangs out at the bar and gets angry sometimes. I think that night he was pissed off at us because there were a couple girls sitting at the bar, and not to be completely just derogatory, but they were larger women. And then I sat down with two of my buddies, and the guy came back over, threw his hands around us, and went, "Hey guys," like I think he'd been talking to them before, and then was coming back from the bathroom, and then kind of it was a little bit of a mind fuck for him to find himself holding a bunch of men, or boys, whatever you want to call us. That said, I also, my landlord isn't the best with who he hires to get stuff done around here. That's why most of the time, if there is a problem, either I try to fix it or I just live with it. There was a fence around the front of my yard falling down. There was kind of like a shitty hinge gate that just had a little latch that went over top of it. It was falling down. There was a citation from the city, and so he had some guys come rip it out. They said they were going to put in a new fence and everything. They brought equipment, laid it all along the side of the house, left cement bags, like quickcrete stuff, and now that has all, the quickcrete has all now hardened since it's been like a month since they took everything out and left the stuff. So it's been rained on several times. It's all hardened together to where it's now useless. The fence equipment is still sitting over there with nothing being done with it, and now I just have several fence posts just in the front of my yard and no fence, so I'm even more worried about people kind of just wandering into my yard and up to my door. But I mean, that hasn't really even been that bad. What was that's like old stuff. That's just been the weird stuff that I deal with on a daily basis. The weird stuff this weekend, first off, anybody who follows me on Twitter, fuck you, that was a good joke. Second, I went over my buddy's house it's his parents' house, to watch the Pittsburgh Penn State, or Pittsburgh Panthers college football team play Penn State. As even I, who don't follow regular football, I follow college football even less. Even I had enough kind of general knowledge to know that Penn State was going to fuck Pitt up. And they did. But as I was sitting there, there was alcohol, there was other substances, and people were getting intoxicated. I was there with two couples, so definitely the fifth wheel there. Not really the fifth wheel, though, as I'll try to explain. But the whole kind of situation devolved very quickly once I sat down around the TV. I spent like the first half hour getting fucked up and a little bit too fucked up to where I was just screaming. I wasn't screaming at people. I was just very talkative. I was trying to talk to people too much. I was forgetting what people asked me to do. If people would ask me to grab them something, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, but wait, let me tell you about something." once I went over to the couch, they have like a little ring thing of couches around their television. Things started to get a little bit weird. The two boyfriends spent like most of the time asking their girlfriends why they weren't having fun and kind of just pestering them. They'd like poke them. It really kind of just reminded me of like little kids, like 10-year-old boys trying to get attention from girls. And you already have their attention. They're already your girlfriend. So I'm not really understanding what exactly you're trying to accomplish here. But the girls just became more and more annoyed to the point of it going past just a little bit of irritation and getting into angry. They started yelling at their boyfriends about being stupid and about how childish they were being. It then kind of morphed into a mommy son complex, which was pretty awkward to sit and just watch happen. It was, although everybody else seemed pretty comfortable in these dynamics, which is just kind of contributed to how awkward it got. Nobody else was like, hey, don't talk to me like that, or why are you doing this now? It was just like, you always do this, and you always do this, and why are you getting so angry? And it was just this storm of just pettiness and just not insanity, but it was something along those lines, to where I'm just looking around at these people having no idea of why. Like, I have there's no reasoning that I can see as to why these people are doing things. Now, again, I was fucked up. I was intoxicated. So that could have been it. And I also, in the middle of it, kept on reminding myself, well, no, you're fucked up. And then I would go, no, this would be weird regardless. This has to be weird regardless. And it just everything about the situation, maybe these are just bad relationships, but I see this a lot in people, like relationships and couples where the guys act like they want to slide more towards, I don't want to, children. That's probably a little bit too, it's too negative. Calling them like a kid is a little bit too mean, maybe, but they want to just be able to do whatever they want, act as dumb as they want, and then they're like, oh, well, she'll keep me, she'll make sure that I don't do anything too stupid. She'll tell me when she has a problem with something. But the girls never do that. The girls just kind of get quiet, or they start talking to other people, or they just ignore their boyfriends. As I was sitting there, a commercial for Pitt came on because they had to throw some advertisement in there as Pitt was getting their asses kicked. And some kind of writer from Pitt popped on there, and then the girls started talking about how amazing this guy was, and how he was just so hot, and how they kept trying to take classes with him, and the guys were just like, well, yeah, why don't you take classes with them? And like, oh yeah, we might. And it was strange. It was weird watching the girls just kind of so blatantly be like, yeah, fuck my boyfriend, because then whenever being fucked up, whenever I have to explain something, whenever I'm in a situation where I feel uncomfortable, or something like that, my past, my reactions in the past were almost always just to go silent, just sit there. Now the problem with that is then people, especially because I was just uncomfortable in a lot of situations. Then people start to think of you as being a little bit of a creep, sometimes more than just a little bit of a creep. They look at you like, all right, what is this guy going to do? He's going silent. He's going to kill somebody. So to counteract that, my new strategy has been to, if you can even call it that, has been just to try to make those people uncomfortable. Like, if you're going to put me into a situation where I'm uncomfortable, I will do my best to do the same to you. I feel like that's not wrong. That's not bad. It's a decent way of equaling things out. It's a decent way. If you're gonna fuck with me, I'm gonna fuck with you. So after this happens, after the girls start to, and then they're just ignoring their boyfriends. Like, anytime their boyfriend says something, well, why don't you go get a class with them? They'll either say, yes, I will, or they'll just continue just to look through their phones, be like, oh, he's a teacher here, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he has this grant from the, which, first off, if you're getting grants from the government, just because you're getting grants from the government doesn't mean anything. That means you're good at signing papers for grants and being good at kind of ingratiating yourselves to a power structure. So whatever. Fuck you if you have a grant. Oh, that's all I'm going to say. But they were kind of just ignoring their boyfriends. So then I just started pointing out girls in commercials. Or I was like, no, look at her. When you want to, my buddy's name, I'll make up a name for him. It's like Mark or something. He's like, hey, Mark, you want to fuck her, right? Like, she's pretty cute. She's. I should have said something about like them being better than their girlfriends, because that's pretty much what the girls were doing with the guy on the TV. But I didn't go that far. But the girls kind of just got real pissy after that. They got real quiet, real like they would just be looking at their phones. They wouldn't look at the television. Now, give them the benefit of the doubt. These people were all Pitt fans, so Pitt was losing. There wasn't that much to really root for anymore. There wasn't that much to focus on. There wasn't that much to be happy about. So yeah, just look at your phones. But immediately after this, the girls started getting a little bit like, why are you doing that? How dare you? I then proceeded to drink a little bit more, indulge a little bit more, and then about an hour later, as the game was winding down, everybody started to go, well, with me. The guys were indulging with me, and the guys were drinking with me, and they started to go, oh, yeah, we're just going to hang out, and we're going to have fun, and then they started poking at their girlfriends again and trying to get some kind of reaction out of them. And I just again sat there and went, what the fuck is going on right now? What the fuck? Or why do people conduct themselves this way? And then the girls were going, we should leave. We need to leave. I'm tired. I don't know, which is a great excuse for anything. If anybody ever wants you to do something, just say you're tired. I just want to go to sleep. As long as it's past like 8 o'clock at night, and I just want to go to sleep. I woke up early. They started doing that, and then their boyfriends, oh, I thought we were gonna hang out, and it's this whining, kind of groveling, just, oh, why don't you want to stay? And again, I'm just more uncomfortable. So then eventually, I decide that I'm going to leave, and Mark gives me something of the same treatment of, oh, you don't want to stay. Come on, just stick around. We'll drink more. It'll be fun. I'm like, first off, this hasn't been fun since I really got here. It's mostly just been an interesting kind of look into the people's. Like, it wasn't fun. It was just interesting to see people interact like that, and the shit that people put up with in their day. And I'm not taking a particular side. I have to admit, I'll be biased on the male side just because I am a guy. I identify as male. I identify as straight. So I'm gonna have a bias one side or the other. Although some of the people I've met that have hated women the most have been gay guys. They just have no tolerance for them because they don't want to fuck them. So they're like, if a girl's being a bitch, they're just gonna be, yeah, you're a bitch because I don't want to get inside your pants. That's an aside though. But just the shittiness that people will deal with in their lives, and it's not really shittiness. It's just it's this petty little dance that we do, whether it's between like a sexual relationship or I'm forgetting what the word is for a platonic relationship, just a friendship. Because I see that in some of the other people I know too, where it's just people being friends, and they go, oh yeah, no, they're great, except if you say the wrong thing, and then it's this just monster of a problem amongst people, and they'll start blocking each other. Not even on Twitter, they'll start blocking each other's numbers like they're 15-year-olds in middle school, and just the amount of bullshit that people put up with in their lives is sometimes astounding. It's really kind of, it goes, you like, you're this invested in this person or this person, because it doesn't seem like the people bring you that much joy, and people will be like, well, no, they do, you just don't really see it, and it happens in private. But I'm like, you always seem kind of miserable, whether you've been with that person or after you've been with that person. But people are like, well, no, you just don't understand what's going on, and there's things that I just don't tell you. And it's like, well, you seem like you tell me everything else, so I can't really imagine you're hiding that much. And if you are, that's kind of weird too, especially if we are like stronger friends. There's not that much that like Daniel or I don't tell each other. There's not that much where we don't bring every single thing in our lives up that happens to each other. But if Daniel asks me, I'm not going to be like, don't ask about that, man. That's my personal thing. That's mine. You don't get to talk about that. Like, why put yourself through situations if you're not extremely benefiting from something? I understand, like sugar baby, sugar daddy, sugar mama, those kind of dynamics, because it's like, well, yeah, they're not the best person, but they pay me a fuck ton. Like, they pay me money, they support me. I understand those kinds of dynamics and relationships. What I don't get are these people where they're like, no, we're just two equals, we're coming together and we just enjoy each other's company. It's like, I don't see you guys enjoying each other's company ever, and it doesn't really seem like either one of you is benefiting substantially more than the other one from having this relationship, again, whether it's sexual or platonic. So why exactly do you continue to do it? And the only answer I can come up with is people are stuck in things. People don't want to get out of a system. People don't want to get out of momentum. It's easier to just kind of go with whatever's happening and to let stuff stay around. Like, not let stuff stay around, but what has already happened and what is currently is, they think, at least easier than changing it. But to me, in my opinion, I wouldn't say that that's true. I think that changing something, getting somebody out of your life, yeah, it's going to have an emotional pain, but there isn't always a physical pain or even like an actual pain. There's a little bit of, oh, I feel bad because they're not here, because they made me feel good about myself or something like that. They validated something in me. But there isn't an actual loss of standard of living. There's no loss of your enjoyment in life once you just find something else to replace it. That's all that it is. It's just, you don't want to take the time to go and find a replacement for something. Whether that's, I'm not even meaning a replacement person. I'm meaning just, oh, well, I don't know, go join a fucking sports league, or go play pool, or go write, or go read. You just need something to distract yourself for like the couple weeks that you're going to feel shitty about not having that person in your life anymore. And I mean, after that, maybe, yeah, consider if your life was better with them, and then you can, like, You don't need to just nuclearize the situation and then just like completely ostracize them, but you can go, I don't really want to hang out with you right now. We'll see how it goes after a couple weeks. But once you need to let that emotional addiction you have to whoever it is kind of run out. You need to go through the withdrawals and then see what things are like on the other side of that to figure out if something is beneficial for you. Same thing with like a drug you're taking. If it's caffeine, nicotine, if it's harder drugs, if you're now most of the time, if you are having that kind of a question in your head, I'll tell you right now, you're probably addicted to it. Whether it's caffeine, nicotine, or harder drugs too. If you're having the argument in your head of, no, I'm better at my job on cocaine, or I'm better at my job on painkillers, probably not. You might be better with caffeine, you might be better with nicotine, but maybe you just need to sleep more. But any of those things, you need to take the time to let their hold over you get out of your system. You need to let the little tendrils kind of implanting into your brain get out of your system, and then your brain goes, okay, I can exist at a normal level, normal baseline without these things. Because as soon as you cut them out, your brain, your standard of living is going to drop. And this is the same for people. You're going to notice something missing. But if you give it the couple weeks to let that get out of your system, where you go, no, if I bring this thing back in, it's going to be adding to my life. If you can make that argument that, no, now that I've seen it, my life without it, I've spent enough time where kind of just at baseline, and I really do think that this thing is beneficial for my life. I think that it gives me a higher standard of living. I think that it helps me achieve things. I think that whatever, that's when you can bring that thing back in. And maybe you have a better appreciation for it. Maybe you just have a more honest appreciation for it, where you don't go, this is the best thing ever, this person is the greatest, they're so cool, I love them, they're sexy, they're whatever. And instead you go, yep, no, I like having them in my life, they benefit my life. I think, and there's nothing wrong with being with someone because I don't like the whole, well, I'm just, you stay with somebody or you engage with someone because you're being beneficial to them. If somebody isn't giving you some kind of reciprocal benefit, most of the time it's a worthless cause. Most of the time that's not something that you should be involved in, because they aren't going to ever benefit you. You're not going to cultivate and facilitate this deep relationship, and then all of a sudden it's going to start helping you. They're as long as you kind of coddle them and let them think that they are the center of your world, and it doesn't matter what they give back to you, they're just going to continue to treat you like that. They're going to continue to treat you however you're rewarding them to treat. We respond to incentives. We do not go much beyond that. Even with morality, even with morals, most people do not have morals that go against incentives. Most people, even if they say they do not actually practice those morals beyond what is incentivized to them. Most people who believe in something and actually sacrifice for something are not going to be people you're going to meet in regular society, because they're going to be so far removed because of what they believe in, because of the morals. And most of the time, whether they're crazy or not, they will at least seem crazy to you because they are so dedicated to something. They're so focused on this one part of life, this one part of morality, that you go, what the fuck's the matter with you? You can't just go out and just talk to people? Like, what's the point of having this? That might be our fault. That might be how we look at kind of agreeability as being the highest, agreeability being the highest kind of goal to kind of reach for. I notice a lot of, I come from a Christian background. I notice a lot of like modern day, contemporary Christians, where a lot of what they talk about is focused on making sure that Christianity or whatever it is, whether it's a specific doctrine or something, is palatable for people. And you go, well, you just got to be nice to people, and you got to bring them in. You got to show them the love of Jesus. But I mean, Jesus was, if we're following the Bible. Now, this gets into other stuff where you go, I don't know, who knows if it's real or not. We can't even necessarily trust like more recent history books because every single author has bias. But there's love, and then there's also just this going along with people for the sake of avoiding conflict, which is what we call love now, which is nothing but it's just wanting to avoid conflict. The same thing with the people just staying with people, the same thing with people just staying in a relationship. They're not doing that out of love. They're doing it out of an avoidance of conflict and out of an avoidance of having to create a new relationship. And that's whatever it is. You can call it love, but that isn't necessarily doing anybody any favors. You're not doing the person that you quote unquote love any favors by just allowing them to stay in this kind of cycle of whatever their actions or their behaviors or their ideas. You're not. There's no love in just blindly suffering for somebody. There's no love in just kind of bending over backwards and just going, no, I will allow you. I will give way to you on this because I love you and I care. You don't care about them. You care about yourself, and you care about the fact that you don't want to have a conflict with somebody. That was when I was younger, and I would hear people talk about proselytizing or apologetics. Apologetics is like a defense of the faith, and where you can that's separate from just witnessing to people, but it can also be part of it. And by witnessing, I mean like trying to show people the light, because that's the whole thing in Christianity, where we have this knowledge, it's this knowledge given by God, and as long as we just you can show it to people and they can maybe accept Jesus in their hearts, whatever. It's a little bit too long of a thing to explain just in the part. There's thousands of years and books on theology and different stuff on this, and not even thousands. There has to be millions of books on this shit. So anyway, one of my biggest failings as a kid, and I always had to admit this, was that I did not like, quote unquote, witnessing to people. I didn't like talking to them about something, because my head, I don't want to make the person feel bad. I don't want to ruin whatever dumb little relationship that we had, which when I look back in them, I didn't really have any. I didn't have a wonderful relationship with these people. But I'd just be like, yeah, I'm just going to live and let live. But now, even when I look back on that as something where I wouldn't have been truthful, I'm looking at this back at something and going, well, I think this is probably bullshit. But I have to admit, I wasn't not witnessing to people because I actually cared about not bothering them, or because I didn't want to ruin this great relationship we had. I wasn't witnessing to people because I was worried about just causing conflict. I didn't want to have to deal with somebody getting angry at me or telling me that I was wrong, or even just causing this person to look at me differently and look at me as weird for caring about this. So I don't know. I need to finish this episode at some point, but after everything I've talked about, and I've been kind of criticizing people for staying in things, I will say this. You can stay in stuff, and you can continue in relationships or whatever it is that you don't agree with them on everything, that you don't necessarily enjoy every single moment. If you're going to have a relationship with somebody, you're going to have to deal with some shit. You're going to have to deal with a little bit of stuff that they do that you necessarily don't like, or you don't think is the smartest, or you don't think is the right way to act. But you do have to make certain standards in your life, or else you will just give in to anything. You have to make certain things where you go, yeah, no, I'm not going to allow this, or I'm not going to go past this, or I'm not going to tolerate certain things, because it is my life. It's my decision who I get to have in my life. I don't have to accept everybody. I don't have to keep every single person around to get a well-balanced opinion. If anything, that's what Twitter's for. If you want to be like, somebody tells you, well, you should just have people around so you have the good, balanced opinion on things. It's like, well, no. Just have them on Twitter. You can go look at their Twitter account and be like, oh, okay, that's the other side of the opinion. Maybe that was good for me to see. You don't need people in your life that are kind of constantly going against what you believe in or what you think is right. Because if anything, you're not going to change them, especially if you're not trying to. They are going to change you just through the simple thing of you having to go, I've dealt with it so many times before. Why wouldn't I deal with it now? Why wouldn't I allow this now? Why wouldn't I let this keep on happening? Because, yeah, I mean, I have let it happen plenty of times before, so what kind of asshole am I to allow it to happen? What kind of asshole am I to not allow it to happen now? So, I look at your life, look at the people around you, look at who you let into your life, and look at how they treat you. Look at how they treat your ideals, and they don't have to agree with them. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying just surround yourself with people that go, yep, no, that's good. You're real good. You got all this stuff figured out. But you don't need people in your life that are that are just picking. That's probably worse than somebody that out and out just dislikes you, or has out and out disregard and just looks down on whatever you believe in. I can be fine with those people. I can be fine with somebody that just out and out tells me that libertarians and anarcho-socialists are stupid, they get people killed, and that socialism is going to fix things. As long as they start out with that. My problem is with the people that just kind of little bits. There's, what if you had to do this, and what if but I don't really think you're kind of being dumb right now. Why are you acting this way? Why don't you act like me? I'm a very balanced and rational person. How could you even think about something like this? Why would you keep doing it? And it doesn't have to be a political ideology. It can be whether it's something you're creating or something that you are participating in. If the people who pick at something from behind a rock of, well, I'm just being nice. I'm very balanced, and I'm very informed, and I just understand things. The people who then hide behind that and hide behind this bullshit rock of civility, this not a rock, this bunker of civility, and I'll respect you, but those people are much more dangerous than somebody who out and out just tells you that you're stupid and tells you that you're an idiot. Because at least you can either go, I want this person around because they at least make me challenge my ideas on a regular basis, or you go, no, fuck them, I don't want these people around. The people that just pick at things and then go, I'm just not going to say anything right now. I'm not going to talk for right now. You just go ahead and talk because you know things. Those are the people that want to make you feel bad for having a different opinion from them and not come out and tell you that. Those are the fuckers that want you to who want to just use the same thing where I'm talking about, where they're going, well, I'm just going to avoid conflict so that you feel bad for trying to initiate conflict. And it's like, you're still initiating a conflict, just in this roundabout bullshit passive aggressive way. Then you can also just tell yourself that you're not, that you haven't started shit, that you're not starting problems. And those are the people you have to watch out for. Those are the people that you need to be worried about, because they're not out in the open, and they're not being honest about with how they're treating you, and they're not honest about how they think. They're not honest about how really anything is. There are snakes in the grass. I don't know if that's a little bit aggressive, but I mean, that's what they are. They're kind of just like laying there. They don't announce their presence, and then all of a sudden they just snap at you a little bit, and you're in a vulnerable position with them because maybe you think that they like you, maybe you think that they're supportive of you, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, well, they're not supportive of me, and I'm so already invested in them being supportive of me. Maybe I should change what I do. Maybe I should just change for the sake of them. So I don't know. Probably I would advise you get rid of those people from your life if you have somebody like that. There's not really much of a point in keeping them around. If you want somebody to challenge you, you need somebody who's going to challenge you out in the open, not some little bullshit way of, oh, well, I'm just being polite, and get rid of those people. If you want, fuck them. If not, just be careful with them, watch them, kind of keep track of them. Don't let them get away from you, because that's when they're going to start causing problems in your life. But anyway, have a good week. I don't know if you need to listen to Mac Miller, make yourself feel good. Who knows? Don't kill yourselves. Maybe. I don't like. Who knows? I don't. I've just had to look at like so many people on Twitter just tweeting about how they it was a life wasted, or not a life wasted, because then in the same breath they go, he accomplished so much, but it's just he went too soon, and it's I can't say that I know this for certain because I've never done heroin, I've never done like super heavy opiates. But if you're at the point where you're going, I need to sleep or just sit here, even with weed, if your attitude when you're smoking or eating or doing whatever it is, any drug, is I just want the world to stop for right now, then in all honesty, you're probably fine with dying. At least a part of your brain is fine with giving up. Now, I'm not saying do that. I'm not saying give up, but you do need to look at the fact that you are medicating to the point where you are okay with like you're so stressed out about something, you're so bothered by something that you would prefer everything just go silent for a couple hours than to look at it anymore. And if you're doing that, then dying and never having to deal with this stuff again can't be that much worse. Unless you believe in a afterlife of hell and damnation and suffering, that person is in a much better place as far as they're concerned than they were ever on this life. And maybe that's a problem with you, maybe that's a problem with society, maybe it's a problem with them. But we do have to realize that that living is not the same. Living is not what everybody wants to do. Regular life and whatever it is, whether it's working or creating something, does get old. And unless we find new ways to do it, unless we find something else in ourselves to have a purpose, if you don't have a purpose, there's no point to doing it anymore. It's not about happiness, it's about having a purpose. You can be unhappy as long as you have a purpose. If you have a purpose, you can be the most miserable person in the world, but you're still going to keep going. If you lose a purpose, then you're going to quit. So find a purpose, find your God, find whatever you need, I guess. And I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.